Here's part 1 of your story in approximately 800 words, written in third person with simple language. Galactic Masters laughed at Earth's Archery until they experienced the compound. The day the aliens came was just like any other for Jiho. He was at the archery range practicing with his compound bow. The strange lights in the sky made everyone stop and look up. Big ships, shiny and smooth, floated down from the clouds. World leaders rushed to meet the aliens. They called themselves the Darians and said they came from a star system far away. They looked almost human but had blue-tinted skin and eyes that glowed slightly in dim light. Jiho watched it all on the news. The Darians showed off their amazing technology. Guns that shot energy beams, machines that could heal any wound, and ships that could travel between stars. Earth's leaders tried to show our best technology too, but the Darians just smiled politely. 1. Week after they arrived, the Darians asked to see Earth's fighting skills and weapons. They wanted to know how humans protected themselves. The World Council decided to show them everything: tanks, planes, guns, and also traditional fighting styles from around the world. Jiho was surprised when his phone rang. It was the Korean Olympic Committee. "The aliens want to see traditional weapons too," the voice said. "You're our best archer. Can you come to Seoul tomorrow?" The next day, Jiho stood with representatives from many countries. Some showed swords, others showed spears or martial arts. When it was Jiho's turn, he stepped forward with his compound bow. "This is one of our oldest weapons, improved over thousands of years," the human presenter explained. Jiho demonstrated his skill, hitting the center of targets set up at different distances. For his final shot, he hit an apple placed 100 meters away, splitting it cleanly in half. Instead of being impressed, the Darians laughed. Their leader, Commander Taewon, stepped forward. "You still use string and sticks to fight?" he asked. His voice was deep and smooth. "We stopped using such simple weapons before your people built your first cities." Jiho felt his face grow hot with embarrassment and anger. Taewon continued, "We use energy weapons that never miss. They can hit targets kilometers away with perfect accuracy." To prove his point, Taewon pulled out a small silver object. He pointed it at a target 500 meters away. There was a flash of blue light, and the target exploded. "Your bow requires skill," Taewon said, not unkindly. "But skill cannot match technology." The world leaders looked uncomfortable. The Darians' weapons were clearly superior to anything Earth had. That evening, Jiho sat in his hotel room, turning his compound bow over in his hands. It was made of carbon fiber and aluminum, with a complex system of pulleys that multiplied the force he could apply. It was far from a simple stick and string, but to the aliens, it might as well have been a child's toy. 2 days later, the Darians made their offer. Earth could join the Galactic Union, but as a junior member with few rights. They would share some technology with humans, but not their weapons or faster-than-light travel. They classified Earth as a developing world that needed guidance. World leaders had little choice but to accept. The alternative was to refuse and remain alone in the galaxy, or worse, be seen as hostile. 6 months passed. The Darians established bases on Earth and shared medical technology that cured several diseases. They were not cruel masters, but they were clearly in charge. They treated humans like smart children who needed direction. Jiho went back to his normal life, but he kept practicing with his bow. Something about Taewon's dismissal of archery bothered him deeply. One day, news spread across the world. The Galactic Union was holding a combat tournament. Each species would compete using their traditional weapons in different environments. The winners would gain territory and higher status in the Union. The Darians expected humans to use guns in the tournament. But when Earth's military leaders met to discuss strategy, Colonel Hana brought a surprising proposal. "The tournament rules say we must use traditional weapons," she said. "The Darians and other aliens will bring energy weapons. But those need power and can be affected by certain environments." She pulled up images of modern compound bows and specialized arrows. "These need no power source. They make no noise, produce no heat signature. They work in any environment. And in the right hands, they are deadly accurate." The other leaders looked skeptical until Hana showed videos of special forces using bows in various operations. The next day, Jiho received another unexpected call. This time it was Colonel Hana herself. "We need the best archers on Earth," she said. "The future of our planet may depend on it. Are you interested?" Jiho looked at his bow hanging on the wall and smiled for the first time in months. "When do we start?" The training center buzzed with activity. For 3 months, Jiho and 20 other top archers from around the world had trained together. They learned to work as a team, to move silently through different terrains and to use their bows in new ways. Colonel Hana watched them from an observation deck. Next to her stood General Minho, who still looked doubtful. "Bows against energy. Weapons," Minho said, shaking his head. "I still think we should use our best guns." "The rules are clear," Hana replied. "Traditional weapons only. Besides, our research shows that many alien environments have properties that might affect their technology." Below them, Jiho was showing a woman named Sora how to adjust her bow for shooting in high winds. Sora had been South Korea's top female archer before the aliens came. "Those two are our best," Hana said, pointing at Jiho and Sora. "If anyone can surprise the Darians, they can." 2 weeks later, the human team boarded a Darian ship. It was their first time leaving Earth. Through viewing windows, they watched their blue planet shrink to a tiny dot. The tournament would take place on a special moon called Nexus. It had been built by ancient aliens thousands of years ago. Nexus had many different environments: forests, deserts, mountains, and strange alien landscapes. When they arrived, they saw ships from 20 different alien species. Some aliens looked almost human. Others were very strange: floating gas, clouds, insect-like creatures, or beings made of crystal. Commander Taewon greeted the human team with surprise. "You brought archers? We expected you to use your firearms." "Archery is one of our oldest traditions," Colonel Hana said. "The rules said traditional weapons." Taewon smiled in a way that seemed both friendly and mocking. "Of course. Good luck." That evening, all teams gathered in a great hall. The tournament rules were explained. Teams would face each other in different environments. The winner would be the last team standing or the team with the most survivors after the time limit. Jiho studied the other species and their weapons. Most had energy weapons like the Darians. Some had strange devices whose purpose he couldn't guess. Only the humans had weapons that needed no power source. The first round would start tomorrow. Earth would face the Proxians, a species of tall, thin aliens with 4 arms. Their weapons fired sound waves that could stun or kill. That night, Jiho couldn't sleep. He got up and went to the practice range. To his surprise, Sora was already there, shooting arrow after arrow at targets. "Nervous?" he asked. She nodded. "The Proxians have 4 arms. They can shoot twice as fast as us. But their weapons need power," Jiho said. "And they make noise. We don't." They practiced together until early morning. As the sun rose on Nexus, they felt more confident. The first round took place in a dense forest. Each team started at opposite ends. The goal was simple: eliminate the other team or capture their flag. Colonel Hana gathered the human team before they entered. "Remember your training. Use the environment. Stay quiet. Their weapons will give away their position." The forest was unlike any on Earth. The trees were purple and blue, and strange animals called from the branches. The human team moved silently through the underbrush. Sora was the first to spot a Proxian. It moved through the forest, its sound weapon ready. Sora drew her bow, took a deep breath, and released. The arrow flew true, hitting the Proxian with a special stun tip. The alien fell silently. Within an hour, the pattern was clear. The Proxian's weapons made loud booming sounds when fired. Each shot revealed their position. The humans moved silently, using stealth and precision. By midday, half the Proxian team had been eliminated. The humans had lost only 2 members. Jiho and Sora worked together to approach the Proxian flag. 3 guards protected it. Jiho created a distraction while Sora took careful aim. Her arrows found their marks. and the way to the flag was clear. When Jiho grabbed the Proxian flag, a loud horn sounded across the forest. The first round was over. Back in the Great Hall, other species looked at the humans with new interest. The Darians seemed especially surprised. Commander Taewon approached Jiho. "Perhaps there is more to your bent sticks than I thought," he said. His tone was different now, cautious, respectful. Colonel Hana gathered her team that evening. "We got lucky today," she said. "Tomorrow will be harder. We face the Zentari in a volcanic zone. The heat and magnetic fields will be challenges." Jiho looked at his bow, then at his teammates. For the first time since the aliens had come to Earth, he felt proud to be human. Maybe their old ways still had value in this new galactic age. "Tomorrow," he said, "we show them what humans can, really do." The volcanic zone of Nexus was unlike anything the human team had ever seen. The ground under their feet was black rock with red lines running through it like blood vessels. Steam rose from cracks in the earth, and in the distance, several volcanoes spouted bright orange lava into the dark sky. Jiho adjusted his protective suit. The heat was intense, but the suits kept the team cool. More importantly, they protected against the magnetic fields that filled this part of Nexus. "Remember," Colonel Hana said to the team, "the Zentari rely heavily on technology. Their energy rifles work by focusing magnetic fields. In this environment, their weapons might not work well," Sora finished. "Exactly. Our bows, however, will work perfectly." The Zentari were reptilian aliens with scales that changed color to match their surroundings. They were known as excellent hunters and had won their first match easily. The horn sounded and the second round began. This time there was no flag to capture. Teams would fight until only one remained. Jiho led a small group through a field of steaming rocks. The visibility was poor, which suited the humans fine. Their bows made no sound and left no light trail. "Movement ahead," whispered Tay, one of the newer team members. Through the steam, they could see 3 Zentari moving slowly, their scales shifting from black to gray to match the rocks. Jiho signaled for everyone to take positions. They drew their bows simultaneously and fired. 2 arrows found their marks, but the third Zentari spotted them and raised its weapon. The alien pulled the trigger on its rifle, but instead of the expected energy beam, there was a shower of sparks. The Zentari looked confused, shaking the weapon. "The magnetic fields," Jiho said quietly. "Their weapons are malfunctioning." Tay took the opportunity to fire again, and the third Zentari fell. As the team moved deeper into the volcanic zone, they received reports from other human groups. The pattern was the same everywhere. The Zentari weapons were unreliable in this environment. Near one of the smaller volcanoes, they found the main Zentari group. About 10 aliens were gathered, trying to repair their weapons. The humans surrounded them silently, using the steam for cover. On Jiho's signal, they all fired at once. The Zentari were caught completely by surprise. Half of them fell immediately. The others tried to fight back, but with malfunctioning weapons, they had little chance. Within minutes, the round was over. The human team had lost only 3 members. Back in the Great Hall, the mood had changed dramatically. Other species were looking at the humans with new respect, and in some cases, fear. Word had spread about their silent, reliable weapons that needed no power source and were not affected by environmental conditions. "The compound bow," Colonel Hana explained to a group of curious aliens, "is one of our oldest weapons, but we have improved it over centuries. It's simple in concept, but precise in execution." Commander Taewon approached with several Darien officials. "You have surprised us, humans," he said. "We didn't expect you to advance this far." "There's wisdom in simplicity," Jiho replied. "Sometimes the oldest technologies are the most reliable." Later that evening, Jiho noticed several aliens examining the human team's bows with great interest. A tall, bird-like alien asked permission to hold Jiho's bow. "It's so elegant," the alien said, running a feathered hand along the carbon fiber limbs. "The way it stores energy in the limbs and releases it through the string. No power cells to fail, no circuits to overload." Sora joined them. "Tomorrow will be harder," she said when the alien left. "We face the Creel in the crystal forests, The Creel had dominated their previous matches. They used sonic weapons that shattered their opponent's armor and equipment. But sounds travels differently through crystals, Jiho said, thinking aloud. Their weapons might bounce back at them. And our arrows will fly true as always, Sora added with a smile. That night, Jiho couldn't sleep again, but for a different reason. He felt a growing sense of pride. Humans, considered backward by the galactic community, were proving their worth through adaptation and ingenuity. He walked to a viewing platform that overlooked the tournament grounds. The crystal forest where tomorrow's match would take place glittered under Nexus's 3 moons. Commander Taewon was also there, staring at the forest. I misjudged your species, the Darien said without turning around. When I saw your bows, I thought you were primitive. Now I see there is wisdom in your approach. We have a saying on Earth, Jiho replied. Sometimes the old ways are best. Taewon nodded slowly. The semifinals start tomorrow. If you defeat the Creel, you will face us, the Darians. And if we win that match, then Earth's status in the eye, Galactic Union will change significantly. Taewon turned to face Jiho. But don't expect us to be as easy to defeat as the others. We have been watching and learning. As Taewon walked away, Jiho looked back at the crystal forest. Tomorrow would be challenging, but the human team had something the aliens didn't fully understand yet. The ability to adapt, to take ancient knowledge and apply it in new ways. With his bow in hand, Jiho felt ready for whatever came next. The crystal forest was beautiful, but dangerous. Sharp crystal trees grew everywhere, their edges gleaming in the light. The crystals came in many colors, blue, green, red, and purple. They reflected light and sound in strange ways. The human team moved carefully. Their protective suits prevented cuts from the sharp crystal edges. Jiho led the main group while Sora took 5 archers to circle around the Creel from behind. Be careful with sound, Jiho reminded everyone through their communication devices. The crystals will bounce it back and forth. The Creel were insect-like aliens with hard shells and 4 arms. Their sonic weapons had won them their previous matches easily. The weapons sent out sound waves so powerful they could break bones. Jiho's group found tracks in the crystal dust. The Creel had passed this way recently. They followed cautiously, every step silent. Suddenly, a loud screeching noise filled the air. It bounced off the crystal trees, growing louder and louder. The humans covered their ears in pain. They're testing their weapons, Tay said when the noise stopped. But did you notice? The sound bounced back at them too. Jiho nodded. The crystal forest works against them. They can't use their weapons without hurting themselves. They moved forward again, and soon spotted 3 Creel warriors. The aliens were talking to each other in their clicking language. They seemed frustrated, pointing at their sonic devices. Jiho gave the signal. 3 arrows flew silently through the air. Each found its target, and the Creel fell without a sound. Meanwhile, Sora's group had found the main Creel camp. About 15 aliens were gathered in a small clearing between the crystal trees. We're in position, Sora's voice came through Jiho's earpiece. Waiting for your group. Jiho and his team moved carefully to join them. They surrounded the clearing, hidden among the crystal trees. The Creel leader was speaking to its warriors. The humans couldn't understand the words, but the message was clear. The Creel were angry about their weapons not working properly. Jiho gave the signal to attack. 20 arrows flew into the clearing. The Creel never saw them coming. Half the aliens fell immediately. The remaining Creel grabbed their sonic weapons. One fired, and a terrible sound blasted through the forest. But the crystal trees reflected the sound waves back. The Creel who fired dropped its weapon, clearly in pain. The human archers fired again. More Creel fell. The few remaining tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The round ended quickly. Back in the Great Hall, the atmosphere was electric. Earth had made it to the finals. They would face the Darians, the very aliens who had laughed at their bows when they first arrived on Earth. You have done well, Commander Taewon said to Colonel Hana. But tomorrow will be different. We have studied your weapons and tactics, and the final environment will be the electromagnetic storm plains. Your carbon fiber bows may not work as, well there, Colonel Hana smiled politely. We'll see tomorrow, Commander. That night, the human team made preparations. They coated their arrows with a special non-conductive material. They adjusted their bows to handle the electromagnetic interference. The Darians have energy shields, Jiho told the team. But our tests show that arrows moving under a certain speed might pass through them. The shields are designed to stop fast-moving objects and energy beams. So we shoot slower? Tay asked, confused. Exactly, Sora replied. We adjust our bows to shoot at just the right speed. Not too fast, not too slow. The next morning, both teams entered the electromagnetic storm plains. The sky flashed with colorful lightning. The ground was flat and covered with tall red grass that moved in the strong wind. The Darians wore advanced armor and carried their energy weapons. They looked confident. Jiho felt the electricity in the air. It made his hair stand up. The magnetic fields were strong here, just as they had hoped. The horn sounded, and the final round began. The teams moved away from each other, seeking good positions in the grass. Jiho and Sora stayed together, moving low through the grass. They spotted two Darians and watched as the aliens tried to activate their energy shields. The shields flickered on, but then shut off. The electromagnetic interference, Sora whispered. Just as we thought. They drew their bows and fired. The arrows flew true, hitting both Darians. Across the plains, similar scenes played out. The Darians' technology was failing them in this environment. Their energy weapons worked only half the time. Their shields couldn't stay active. The human archers, with their simple but effective weapons, had a huge advantage. The final confrontation came when Jiho and Sora found Commander Taewon and his personal guard. The Darian commander held a different weapon, something that looked mechanical rather than energy-based. He's adapted, Jiho realized. He brought a backup weapon that doesn't rely on energy. Taewon spotted them and raised his weapon. It fired a small metal projectile, similar to a human bullet. Jiho and Sora split up, dodging behind small hills. Taewon's guards tried to follow, but their energy weapons malfunctioned in the intense magnetic field. Sora took out two guards with perfect shots. Jiho eliminated another. Now only Taewon remained. The Darian commander was no easy target. He moved quickly, firing his mechanical weapon with surprising accuracy. A projectile grazed Jiho's arm, cutting through his protective suit. Sora circled around while Jiho kept Taewon distracted. When she had the perfect angle, she drew her bow and fired. The arrow struck Taewon's weapon, knocking it from his hand. Before he could recover, Jiho had another arrow aimed at his chest. It seems, Taewon said, raising his hands in surrender, that I have underestimated humans one too many times. The final horn sounded. Earth had won the tournament. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Union shone with bright lights. Flags from 20 different alien worlds hung from the walls. In the center stood the human team, victorious against all odds. High Chancellor Bora, leader of the Galactic Union, stepped forward. She was tall with silver skin that sparkled like stars. In her hands she held a golden trophy shaped like a spiral galaxy. Today we honor Earth as the winner of the combat tournament, she announced. Her voice carried through the hall without need for devices. They have proven that wisdom can be found in traditions, not just in advanced technology. Jiho and Sora stood at the front of the human team. Their bows hung at their sides. Colonel Hana accepted the trophy with a deep bow. Earth has earned a new place in our union, Chancellor Bora continued. No longer will humans be classified as a developing species. From this day forward, Earth holds full membership with all rights and privileges. The hall filled with applause. Even the Darians joined in, though some looked less happy than others. After the ceremony, Commander Taewon approached Jiho. The Darian's blue face showed a mix of emotions, respect, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of embarrassment. I must apologize for my behavior when we first met, Taewon said. I judged your weapons by their appearance, not their effectiveness. Many people make that mistake, Jiho replied. They see a bow as something from the past, not something that has been perfected over thousands of years. Taewon nodded. We Darians abandoned such weapons long ago in favor of energy technology, but now I see we may have lost something valuable." He paused. "Would you be willing to teach some of our warriors how to use a bow?" Jiho smiled. "I would be honored." In the days that followed, a new respect for humans spread through the Galactic Union. Other species approached Colonel Hana with requests for training and trade agreements. Earth's simple but effective weapons had opened doors that advanced technology could not. 1 month later, Jiho stood before a class of aliens from 5 different species. Each held a compound bow designed for their unique body shapes. "The bow seems simple," Jiho explained, "but it contains deep wisdom. It works with nature's laws, not against them. It needs no power source except the archer's own strength. It makes no noise, leaves no heat signature, and works in any environment." A young Darien raised her hand. "But our energy weapons are more powerful." "Power is not always the answer," Jiho replied. "Sometimes precision, reliability, and simplicity matter more. On Earth, things were changing too. The Galactic Union had granted humans access to new territories for settlement. Advanced medical technology flowed freely to Earth now, curing diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. 6 months after the tournament, Jiho and Sora stood on the balcony of the new Earth Embassy on Nexus. Below them, a training field was filled with aliens learning archery from human teachers. "Did you ever imagine this?" Sora asked. "When the Darians first laughed at our bows, did you think we would end up here?" Jiho shook his head. "Never. But I always knew there was value in our traditions. Sometimes the oldest technologies have the most to teach us." Commander Taewon joined them on the balcony. He wore simple training clothes and carried a bow of his own design, a blend of Darien technology and Earth tradition. "The High Council has approved the Joint Defense Initiative," he told them. "Mixed teams of humans and aliens will work together to protect the outer colonies. Your archery skills will be essential in environments where our technology fails." "From laughingstock to essential partners," Sora said with a smile. "That's quite a change." Later that day, Chancellor Bora visited the embassy. She watched the training with great interest. "You humans have taught us an important lesson," she said. To Colonel Hana, "We became so focused on advancing our technology that we forgot the value of perfecting simple tools. Your compound bow, a bent stick with a string as some called it, proved more effective than weapons that took centuries to develop." Colonel A. Hana nodded. "Every technology has its place. The key is knowing when to use each one." As the sun set on Nexus, Jiho took one final shot at the practice range. His arrow flew true, splitting the previous arrow that marked the center of the target. A group of alien students gasped in amazement. Among them stood Commander Taewon, his eyes wide with newfound respect. "How long does it take to learn such skill?" the Darien asked. "A lifetime," Jiho replied honestly, "but the journey is worth it." The story of Earth's victory spread throughout the galaxy. Humans, once seen as primitive newcomers, were now respected for their ingenuity and adaptability. Their ancient weapon, perfected over centuries rather than abandoned, had earned them a place among the stars. And on training fields across the galaxy, the soft sound of bowstrings could be heard, a reminder that sometimes the old ways are indeed the best.